It'll be good, boys. You can't see my fucking ugly mug.
How dare you, you scouse bastard!
No, you have a blank avatar.
You interrupt my introduction. I've not even started.
Sorry, bro.
Fucking scousers, I'll tell you that. Right, hello. As you can see, I am hosting my own Tec Sunday with the lads because Scott Sarmon's internet is down due to, well, it was a bit of a carry on really, but it's their story to tell really. But that said, I thought, why the fuck no? Let's have a party. And I've managed to conjure up a few hooligans that are ready to throw shit to the wind, eh? So, as you can see, I've got two people on the panel that I've never had on before. And I've got 42, as always. Pleasure to have you on, Gudgie. So I'll start with you. How's it going?
Hello, sorry. Who are we starting with there? Sorry.
Yeah.
Me? Right. Yeah, all good. I was up with my dad there from the dinner and was having FaceTime with my sister that lives in London. So I don't get to talk to her that often. So we did that and it was all very good. I'm doing the best, mate. How's yourself?
I'm not bad as it goes, like hiking myself with my dog yesterday. It's good for the soul, as cliche as that sounds, getting away out into the Highland wilderness, fucking does wonders to you. Who else? Well, he's called Taffy on YouTube, but on Telegram. He's called Me, and he interrupted the start of my stream, so I should really be coming to him last, but I'm kind and candid. How are you doing, Mr. Me?
Me as in me?
No, not you. No, me.
My friend, I've been on to you on Telegram. I've always followed you since the first time you stream, like one of the best ranters going. So I got on you on Telegram a couple of weeks ago, and I just really wanted to jump on.
Well, you've already interrupted the start of my stream, so you might get a rant out of me, but it will be directed at you as opposed to it being directed at, anybody else in particular. So I'm just saying you're on thin ice. And then we've got Ian Marr as well, a fellow Scot. It's good to have a Scot on the panel since I was ditched by my Glaswegians. How's it going, Gudgie?
Hi, Deej. Things starting to settle down a wee bit. I'm getting a wee bit of structure in my life. Managed after 6 months to finally get things fucking sorted out. So, onwards and upwards, bro.
Aye, without question. I think I can echo that sentiment in truth.
When you lose your best friend, it sort of fucking kicks you sideways, bro. You know that.
Oh, without a doubt, I do. Aye. No, I've never really. Even years later, I'm still not the same after my granddad passed. But I have to say, the last 2 weeks for me, though, maybe 3 weeks, I can feel like a different person in truth. I feel a lot better.
The photos of you and him with the dog were fucking brilliant, man. Of him with the dog, sorry.
Oh, you love dogs, like you always.
Brilliant.
You always have
bro. We uploads like that warm my heart,
Aye, I'm fucking think I don't want to bombard my Telegram on my dog channel with puppy photos that deals with that, but there's a rake of them and all that I've got that thing. I might get
bro.
Man, I can
I'm looking at that dog. Actually, I'm hoping that I'm going to have a wee soulmate before Christmas time. So,
or what type of dog you thinking like?
Either a border collie or a husky.
Both are cracking dogs, to be fair. That's a difficult.
I need a working dog, Deed. I need something that's going to be able to, go out on the bike and.
Lad, what I'd recommend? If you're going to get a dog, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, you can't beat.
Or a Jack Russell, may I just say. Right, boys, I'm going to get straight to proceedings because this video here, right? I found this the other day.
DJ, I've breaking news for you. You might want first.
What's that?
Right, I just put a share down on the bottom, and that is, if you have a look at that, that is the Sunday Night with the Lads screen, still waiting for Scott's armor. So not only
I'll go share the link.
Not only is he not here, he's also stream cooking you by absence.
What's a cracker?
Oh, come on, like, even in his absence, he's been a prick, like. Right. Oh, no, wait. I wanted to move you. Aye, there we go. Hello, Kate, again. We meet again. And Davey.
No, his stream hasn't got a scouser on it, so you win.
Is what? She scouts?
No, his stream hasn't got a scouser on it, so you win.
Wait. Scott, sorry, man. I better. Wait, fuck's sake. Oh, God. Right, where is he? Sunday with the lads. How many viewers has he got? 13 people waiting. Fucking hell. Oh, Jesus Christ.
30 people waiting on a blank screen.
Right. Okay, I want to get straight to proceedings. So I found this video just the other day, and it's just a wee comp. I've already made a video on this and I shared it on Telegram channel, but some people that don't have Telegram might not have seen it. And it's just a wee minute compilation of a breakdown of all the different things that have been incorporated into Scottish education. And I just want to see your opinion. It's absolutely baffling. Like, legitimately baffled by this. It's wow, right. So I'll share my screen now. Oh, share my audio. And I'm going to mute just so it doesn't echo. But here we go. Right.
The change that you want to see, oh yeah, be the change that you want to see right now. Be the change that you want to see. The changes start with you. Be the change that you want to see. Change you want to see. Be the change that you want to see. Change you want to see. The change that you want to see. Change you want to see. Change you want to see. Change you want to see.
Oh, that was fucking beautiful and so diverse.
I have questions.
All right. Go on. What's your first question? Give us your best question.
My first question is, see, before that goes up, is there a warning for people with epilepsy? And the second one is, who the fuck's supposed to be able to read those things with the speed in which they're...
Oh, right. Well, don't you worry about that. I can solve any problem that you've got. I can solve. Don't you worry about it. I'll just go through it page by page and we'll have a proper insightful look at what's happening to my beautiful country of Scotland, okay? So let's do this. I mean, it's a fucking joke, pardon my French. So, I mean, my laptop's so spurgy, like, but so gender stereotypes are limiting our children. Together, we can change the narrative. Then we got LGBT. There's going too fast for me now. You got the LGBT Education Scotland, right? It goes on a bit further. There's a few in here that really pissed me off. What was that one? Sorry. Tumo is a Black history platform designed for children aged 5 to 11. What the Black history is world history. Black figures and periods that may have made history. Why the 5-year-olds in Scotland need to know about Black history? It's just, I'm so sick of this shit. And then, well, what's this one? Leadership and mentoring and well-being. Same. This is that Kajida Mohammed boots that I've made many a video on before. This is obviously time for inclusive education. This is the group that came into the forefront and effectively helped work with the government in Scotland to make LGBT education in Scotland law. So every school has to include it, including the gender bender bullshit, challenging misogynistic attitudes among children and young people. It's like getting it right for girls. No, not for boys. This is because this isn't equality, is it? No, it's for girls. What else have we got? Hackney's done. What the fuck? Like, what's that got to do with Scotland? Hackney. Anyway, let me see what else there is.
This is slightly worse than in England. England's pretty bad, but fucking hell.
I think arguably Scotland's the worst out of all 4 countries in the UK or nations within the UK, without question. It's just so bad. But look at this one, Stephen Lawrence Day. What about Chris Donald?
Stephen Lawrence, the fucking architect.
I don't say it to make light of Chris Donald's death, right? You know, to glorify it or to exploit it. My point is, why do we get taught, or kids in Scotland get taught about Stephen Lawrence Day, but they don't know anything about Chris Donald? Like, I just think that's wrong. Like, I would be more in favour if you were to have a day, right? This is just my theory. You tell me if I'm wrong. You have a day, if you're going to, that's dedicated to every single person, irrespective of colour or creed or sex, whatever, gender, whatever. A day dedicated to every victim of a quote-unquote racial hate crime or a racial murder. But instead of that, they prioritise some and they ignore others. I think that in and of itself creates division that's completely unnecessary. You know, I just think
it's by design.
Pardon?
It's by design.
Aye, without your
Hey,
question.
have you heard of the one by ours? The murder in Liverpool, Stephen Walker, I think it was. He got hit in the head with a pickaxe. Absolutely disgusting, obviously. But they made it out to be a racial murder. He was a drug dealer, and it was just an altercation with other drug dealers, and they just made it out to be some racial thing, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, they do that all the time. There's a case as well in Scotland now. I don't know if you've heard about the Sheku
Anthony Walker. Sorry.
I'll be honest, I've never heard of that case before, like, in truth. First I've heard. But Sheku Bayo, it just reminds me of that. There's a black guy in Scotland. You'll know who I'm talking about, Ian. The black guy that he died at the hands of the police. And instantaneously, it's because the police are racist. So there's currently an inquiry now to see if his death was due to racial motivations. Like, how are they meant to prove that? Like, they can't prove that. Like, you'll never be able to prove that. But it came in the back of George Floyd. When he died, they reopened the case to figure out if it was racially motivated. The police.
The autopsy came back that he died of a fentanyl overdose, by the way. Fucking George Floyd.
Well, the same with Sheku Bayo. He was on a drug. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a drug that sends you totally loopy. I really can't remember the name of it.
Seroquel.
No, it's 42. You've said the name before.
Oh, is this a doctor prescribed one?
I think so.
Or is it Ritalin?
No. It's like I don't know if it's a legal eye or not. Davy's in the chat. He might know. I just can't see it. It's like I can't remember the name of it. But it sends you fucking doolally.
Spice.
Spice, that's the one. I'm pretty sure it was Spice, eh?
Yeah,
and he held a knife up to his neighbour, and then he was seen walking the streets with a knife. But when the police got hold of him, allegedly he didn't have the knife at that point, but he was restrained and died. Pretty sure it was an overdose that killed him. It's the same thing. And they're making out as the Scottish George Floyd, like, because he's black.
It's mad how can you get these, like, Black Lives Matter? It's mad, or just in general, like, black activists. They can't ever seem to get, like, a fucking righteous victim. All of them are just scumbags. All of them, like the leader of Black Lives Matter in this country, Sasha someone. She got fucking shot in the head by one of her own. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know, and the witnesses and all that were there, none of them were coming forward or anything.
Mostly peaceful bullets.
What? Sorry?
Mostly peaceful bullets.
Peaceful bullets. Brap.
Well, what you have to realise is Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 people at a protest. He shot a paedophile in the nuts, a robber in the arm, and somebody that strangled somebody in the throat. That's fucking, you couldn't make it up.
Let me see, there was a because I made a video on this morning, like, I was fucking fuming. This group here, for anybody that's watching.
Look at that comment. Sasha's headache was almost calmer.
This one here, I've made a video on this before. This is where the white tears quote comes from. Little kids with white tears. Let me see though, where is it? Decolonizing geography, Why do we need to decolonize geography? Well, you fucking tell me, I don't know.
What the fuck can you decolonize geography?
There was a video I uploaded to my YouTube a few weeks ago. This dickhead trying to imply that maps were discriminatory. Like, I've never heard such lunacy in all my life. Like, Mark's a racist. That must be those white supremacist contour lines, you know? White supremacist Columbus clown.
Like fucking garden gates and fences going to be racist next.
White picket fences, white supremacy.
Picket fence? Fucking hell.
Gender-friendly nurseries, right? Now, for anybody that's not aware of this, again, I've made a video on this. This is where kids in nursery in Scotland, they're raised in gender-neutral environments. So they don't get the teachers, if you want to call them that, the educators, as they're now normally called. They don't address them as boy and girl. It's all gender neutral. Everything's gender neutral. I just think it's just fucking evil. It's odious. It's just odious. Scotland for you, though. Rainbow
My
unicorn,
nieces
man.
go to an all-girls school, and there's, from what they tell me, there's quite a lot of kids who are very confused about, like, on antidepressants and fucking wondering what gender they are. This didn't happen when, like, in the 90s when I was a kid.
Didn't
Almost
happen to me.
like it's been a bit
No,
fucking
because it was only
contrived.
fucking two.
Yeah, exactly. Margaret, this one here. Look at this. Look at this shit. Dear white parents.
Ugh.
I mean, fuck off. How was race invented? What is racism? What is oppression? Anti-racism, allyship. Why are people shouting Black Lives Matter? It's like, oh, fucking Scotland, man. I swear.
Dear
to
white
God.
parents, fucking hell.
I know, it's just, oh, I don't know. I really
But they're
don't.
lapping it up though, mate. Like white parents are lapping this up. It's this disgraceful thing about it.
Yeah, especially liberal parents. You know, there's so many of them are browbeaten into submission, and then they lap this shit up, as you say. And I don't know. It's the children. You know, I don't. I've said this before in videos. I don't care if you're going to slate me for being a white man. You know, I'm an adult. I can take it. But the fact is, they're going after our children now, and I just think there's a line that's being crossed. And you should don't fuck with our kids, and that's why I'm hell bent on exposing the critical race theory stuff. Don't fuck with our children. As far as I'm concerned, do not fuck with our children. You know.
You'd think that would be the limit with everyone, but it doesn't seem to be, does it? It seems like this left ideology just goes over that children are sacred.
It is. I think as well, though, I'll say look at this shit as well. Introduction to Anti-Racist Curriculum, a guide for teachers in Scotland. I mean, just fucking hell. In fact, it's like I think a lot of parents don't realise this shit's going on. You know.
No,
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know. I really don't know.
No, you're right. I do think a lot of parents just don't realise what's going on.
Because they see anti-racist and they just think, oh, well, you're simply
This is good, yeah. This is good. This is the right thing to do.
You're opposing racism, but it's not. It's really not. Like, I'll stop sharing my screen now, but that was it. There you go, 42. You're happy now. I've given you a slide by slide showcase of all the cancer that's permeating Scottish society at the moment. You know.
Whatever happened to the days where we sent kids to school to do a bit of reading, a bit of writing, a bit of arithmetic, maybe learn something about, I don't know, the world we actually live in. I think a large part of the problem is we have parents that presume that their kids are being taught the same stuff that they were being taught and don't pay enough attention. Or, you know.
Oh, sorry, go on.
And I'll add another thing on. Our education system currently treats boys as dysfunctional girls, punishes them for not being able to sit straight for 3 to 4 hours at a time without any physical interaction, which is not how you educate boys. You've got that on top of this, and now we're demonizing them on the color of their skin. And race wasn't invented. Race is just a thing because there are people from different parts of the world that look and behave differently. It's physical, it's biological, and it's cultural. And I think to ignore that is a major problem. And the final big question is, who apart from an idiot allows their enemies to educate their children?
That's a very good question. A very good question.
Mate, do you know what? Naively of me, I thought that in Northern Ireland you were like, I don't know, like sort of resisting this a little bit. But is it the same in Northern Irish schools? The same old shit?
Mate, there's a school in a town called Cumber, and this is like a small country town. It's not a big city. It's not built up. And for however many years that this school was running, the kids it's primary school. The kids lined up for their class in lines of boys and girls. And one kid in that school, whose mother has 3 colours in her hair and is a feminist, her child couldn't figure out whether it was a boy or a girl. And just like that, they had a line of A's and a line of B's, and you could choose whether you were going to be in the A's or the B's.
Fucking hell.
You know, it is absolutely fucking. It's pernicious.
There's no corner where this shit isn't going to get into it.
Yeah. Oh, I know of somebody that lives in an even smaller town where you would think it would be like, you know, a very backwater, everything's all very traditional. And their son, who was like about P6, so, you know, like 9, 10, was asking this girl out, and I think his plan was to take her down to the local chip shop and eat chips and something. And she didn't want to be his girlfriend because she was pansexual and attracted to an older girl. Like, it's fucking...
Just invasion of reality, just fucking Frankfurt School of Thought, should I say?
Yeah,
I don't know how to say that.
Now, there are some places in Northern Ireland where the schools are quite religious and it's being pushed back against a bit, but it's really not much. It's not much different to what you're getting in England. This agenda is still everywhere. We've got Sinn Féin pushing all the political agendas and the syllabuses of school, and they're basically Marxists. And you know, it is what it is. You have a lot of parents who are pushing back individually, but on a organized level, no. And there's somebody going to court for going down and protesting the latest drag queen story hour that happened in Belfast. So yeah, same shit all over, mate.
Yeah, I highlighted Jojo Gizmo's comment there because it reminded me of this. I want to come to Ian first because he's not said anything in a wee while. Like, I want to ask you: are you upset that you never learnt about diversity in such a compelling and compassionate manner when you were a primary 2? Do you wish that you were a primary 2 now, so you could sit there and use skin tone crayons, so you could learn about diversity? Are you upset that you missed out on that opportunity, Ian? I think you strike me as the kind of guy that's quite upset about that. I know you.
Mate, that skin tone crayon. What's her name again, lad? The one who's fucking involved in all that mad anti-racial.
I'll get to her in a minute, like, but is Ian gone? I don't know.
He's dropped out, I think.
Oh, did he? Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
Hey, guys, by the way, to the chat, my name hasn't come up. I'm Toffee, by the way.
My
name just hasn't come up because I can't work out how to do it.
Hey, Ian, you are there. Hello. Unmute mic.
Marzipan.
Yes.
There you go. Hey, did you hear what I said?
What you fucking want?
I'm saying, are you upset that you missed out on this when you were in primary 2? Learning about diversity with skin tone crayons, because this is what's happening now in Scotland.
I'm a pale blue colour. I start off pale blue in the autumn time and then fucking a couple of days in the sun to go white.
That is shit, man. I just can't believe it. Like, I mean, what the fuck, man? It's like, this woman is just cancer. I mean,
hold on.
like...
This is true. Well, they've changed the name of colouring pencils to skin tone pencils.
Yeah. So my point to highlight this is Jojo Gizmo's comment said this little lad got branded as a racist on his first day of school because he asked to use coloured pencils. Well, if he just said skin tone crayons, then he wouldn't be in trouble, would he? You know? But like, I'm like you. You are like me. And I'm not good. I just find
Wait,
it
did you
horrid.
notice at the end? I think she made a purposeful spelling mistake. See in the bottom left-hand corner, she spells something. What is it?
Bat and butt.
Yeah, I think that was almost like a pet. She filled in all them things and then made that look like a spelling mistake, so it was legit. You're on too.
Yeah, I mean, how'd you get that wrong? Bat and butt. Come on, like.
She managed to spell all the other words right, but not the 3-letter word.
Yeah. But this woman here is a totally odious woman. Like,
Odious.
Yeah, to be fair, in that video, I've made a lot of videos on her. One of Liverpool's finest, may I add. You know,
Yeah,
she's got
apparently
a
so.
she loves Scotland, apparently. That's why she's trying to poison our youth's minds. Now, here's her here, throbbing God Rod, instantaneous. But look at this, though, like, you know. Like, let me open this now, a better tab. Inclusion.
That looks like she's on a game show there.
Yeah, no. The main game. Global citizenship. You know, global citizenship, diversity. What else have we got here? I mean, I just can't. All I can say is, like, if you're in a position in Scotland, you should be homeschooling. Like, yeah, without question at this point. This is going too fucking far. It really is going too far. And I know that it's sort of the same across the board, but it's just getting out of hand in Scotland, and it's going so unnoticed. Global citizenship. I mean, fuck right off. Like, oh, I don't know.
Creative, friendly, global, anti-white, basically.
Who else have we got in the chat? There's Jerry. What are you saying, Gudgy? Some parents are more concerned. I think I highlighted that, but no, you're not wrong. And it's just, and as I said earlier on, it's like they hear the terms like anti-racism and they just assume that it's like the term Antifa, anti-fascism. We just oppose fascism. No,
What do you think about the thing earlier with the William Wallace thing getting lit up with the thing, with the Union Jack flag? But that was pretty disgusting. It's the least of your worries with all the with all the shit. But that was pretty offensive. Like,
well, I could.
That's an insult to the Scots, I think. Like, lighten that up.
I'll show people what you're talking about if they've not seen it. Like, and I'll get used.
Basically, William Wallace's statue, due to the Queen's death, has been lit up with the fucking Union Jack. No, I'm not a royalist. I'm not anti-royalist, but lighting up William Wallace, a Scottish national hero, I think that's a bit fucking disrespectful. Like,
I'm more pissed off that the supermarket shut at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough.
But in the morning,
I think it might have made.
Well, Scotland shut for 10 until 5 out of respect.
I think it might have made more sense for them to light the Parliament, possibly, or a building. But
yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Yeah.
Nicola Sturgeon's dildo.
Yeah.
It just seems like a bit of an insult because it's William Wallace. You know what I mean? You think, fucking hell, have a bit of respect.
Toffee, you said you're not a royalist. I am. I'm a dead in the wool East Belfast loyalist, but
I'm not a loyalist as well, if you know what I mean, bro. I respect it, like.
Yeah. Oh well, I get that you're not strongly one or the other. I'm strongly loyalist, and I reckon lighting up William Wallace was the wrong call. Should have lit up something. It should have been the Parliament buildings or something similar. They've got that one wrong.
Yeah,
because there's a little, obviously not as much as in Glasgow or Belfast. Obviously not on the same level, but there is a little bit of tension here in Liverpool. But if you know what I mean, like, show a bit of respect.
Yeah, there's parades and stuff in Liverpool.
Yeah,
this is what he's talking about here. Obviously, the headline's quoting somebody's tweet. But yeah, what they've done is it says here the greatest insult to people of Scotland. And it says down here that South Ayrshire Council has said that the William Wallace Tower in Ayr will remain lit up until tomorrow for the Queen's funeral to commemorate her life. But the decision has been criticised with complaints directed at the council, with some calling it, I assume that's supposed to say, you know, the Herald's really bad for this. The amount of times I copy and paste a story from these pricks and put it on my Telegram. I have to correct their spelling. It's not some calling it, it's some calling it desecration of the Braveheart Memorial, for fuck's sake. There's another spell mistake. Look, William E. was the leader of the Scottish resistance. Yada yada, right? We all know who William Wallace is. But yeah.
Hey, 42, bro. I think, did you mishear me then? I said royalist and not loyalist.
All right. Well, see,
I thought you might have misheard me then, bro. I thought I might correct myself.
Yeah.
I'm a loyalist.
All right. Yes.
I'm a loyalist.
Right, got you now. I'm on board with you.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Here's another thing. You've got that the wrong way round. That's still up blue, white, and red. It should have been.
That's it, correct.
Right, yeah, it should have been red at the top, white in the middle, and blue at the bottom. Right, which is a sign of treason.
He knows his stuff.
No.
Burn that building to the ground, treason.
Yeah, no, well, it's a sure sign that whoever it was organised that's a fucking idiot.
That's it.
Yeah, you could blame the minority Tory government or Tory council for that one. I don't know who the majority is in truth. Probably the SNP or not.
Yeah,
Labour or something.
They've picked the wrong site and then they've executed it poorly. Shit show all over.
Almost as if they're trying to.
Let's face it was probably someone like in charge of the whole thing. Was probably called Sanjay.
Fuck's sake. Good Scottish name. Like, did you see this?
Sanjay McGrath.
I shared this on my Telegram earlier on, right? I'm going to show it now. Wait a second. This is, I think this is quite distasteful in truth. Right, let me share my screen again. I love sharing my screen. I really do. My fucking laptop. Let me ask Ian, are you a football man?
Used to be, not so much anymore.
Celtic or Rangers?
Rangers.
Right, okay, well then you might really dislike this video even more than the other two, mate. Here we go.
No, probably dislike it as well.
Oh, look at this though, right? Wait.
I know what's coming.
Walk around to this club. Where's that kid? It looks like a pretty ground, like.
Livingston.
Celtic were playing away.
There was a minute's silence at the Celtic game for the Queen, and then the Celtic fans just interrupted it midway through and started singing.
No, Celtic were playing away.
Celtic were playing at Livingston, about 5 miles away from me.
Now if you compare and contrast that for what happened before Rangers' European Cup match, where there was Union banner.
At Ibrox, that looks sick. That.
Yep, and followed by a rendition of "God Save the King," was a very class act. What happened at Celtic was absolutely disgusting. As of yet, I checked the Scottish FA website. There's no mention about it on there yet, and I would be very surprised if there's any sanctions taken against them. Personally speaking, I would be making them play behind closed doors for the next 5 weeks. Minimum.
The article that I took that video from, there is no repercussions for what they did there.
No.
So they got off.
It's just like no matter what you think, just as a visual thing, that tribute they done in Ibrox with the Union Jack when they were all lined up in the colours was absolutely epic. No matter what you think.
No, I agree with that too. And I mean, I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination. Like I've always said that the Queen passed, that should be the end of them. That's my view. That said, I
won't go into detail, but I'm banned from Goodison. I'm an Evertonian. I'm permanently banned from Goodison Park for various reasons. But Everton were more loyalist team, whereas Liverpool were very much fucking, you know what I mean, IRA type.
Which is strange, really, because Everton are the only club
with a church in the ground
who have a Catholic church on the premises, are they not?
Correct,
No,
my friend.
Is it not actually a church because the chapel's a name for a
San Domingo?
Church, yep, a church area that's already inside a building.
Yeah, it's literally built into the ground. It's the only church. Yeah. It's the only stadium in the world of a church. And to be honest with you, lads, Everton traditionally were the Catholic team, and then Liverpool sort of broke off. But it's sort of gone back on itself, where Everton are very much a more Protestant nationalist type team, and Liverpool are very much more Republican.
Yeah. Back in the clubbing days when it was cream in Wolferton Square, I used to go down regularly, and the guys would take me to Goodison. We wouldn't be going to, Anfield.
Yeah.
Right. 2 seconds.
We are up until like 2010, say, Everton, we've had some problems with nationalism, quote unquote.
Yeah, that was about 1999, 2000.
Have you been to Goodison, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I used to go quite regularly when I go down to team. So we would go to Nation on a Friday night, and then on a Saturday we'd go catch the footy before we came back up the road.
Good lad.
It was Tony Chin from 3 Beat Records that used to sort us out with tickets and stuff.
Resisting the lies. I reckon this is your opportunity to do your Scouse accent that you gave me the other day.
No.
Go on, lad.
No,
you're right, you're whack.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you right. I sent him a voice note in my best Scottish accent, and Resisting the Lies was like, are you Scottish? Absolutely blagged him. Didn't I, mate?
No, you did, don't give me that, like. Which was kind of creepy and true.
Are you Scottish?
I might do my Scottish. Might before the night is out, but I want to now present probably the most compelling piece that I have for tonight's proceedings. Now, I do apologise to the three of you for forcing you to consume this content. I also apologise to anybody in the chat that suffers from Nicola Sturgeon issues, because she's coming on the screen right now with her freshly trimmed bowl cut, and you're going to enjoy this. This is feminism.
Are you going to apologise for that telephone voice that you just subjected us to for the last few minutes?
It's my presenter voice, you know.
I heard that, yes.
I want to be the new Philip Schofield, except I'm not going to be.
Yeah, well, suck my bobby.
No, it's like I'm going to slide into Holly Willoughby. You know, give her cushy wee looks from across the studio. That's my plan.
Suck my bobby.
Right. Anyway. Wait, I'm not Scottish, and despite Scotland. Do you know what? A lot of Celtic fans, they come from a part of Glasgow, but they're Irish. No offense, like the other part of Ireland for it too. Like, don't worry, like they're Irish Republicans. Like that's why they're so fucking annoying. Like, no, they advocate for Scottish independence because they want Scotland to be a republic, just like Ireland. They
live the other side of the peace wall from me.
Yeah, they're the same people. They are the same people.
Yeah,
Glasgow is full of Southern Irish people. It's a fact.
Glasgow.
Same as Liverpool, mate. Same here.
People in Glasgow. Well, no, Ayrshire got all the blue noses, and Glasgow got all the fiends.
Yeah.
Mate, Glasgow is like identical to Liverpool. That's exactly the same situation. Like fucking exactly the same.
Similar architecture as well, believe it or not.
Yeah, mate, it was Birkenhead, where I live currently, which is just over the water from Liverpool.
Yeah.
The entire town was built by the same person who built Edinburgh.
Mm.
To give you a bit of fucking artistic knowledge there, sorry.
So you're not from the Wirral?
No, I'm from Liverpool, but I live in Birkenhead.
Birkenhead.
Birkenhead's base, mate.
Famed of the Birkenhead drill.
Yeah, all my mates come from Eighton. Eighton, man.
40 lads from Heighton, so there won't be any fighting.
Fucking aye, right. Okay then.
Let's Heighton.
Yes, we have made is fragile, and if we don't safeguard it, nurture it, and continue to build upon it, there is a real danger, in my view, in the years to come that it could go backwards.
Backwards?
I'm Nicola Sturgeon, I'm the Minister of Scotland. I think if more women are in leadership positions, that acts as a catalyst for change elsewhere. There's a wealth of evidence.
Just a robot.
You look at governments or the boards of companies or other organisations, if there is greater gender equity in the representation on these bodies, then decision making is more inclusive and better. If you look at climate change, women disproportionately are on the front line in climate change, particularly in the Global South. Women have child caring responsibilities, disproportionately have the responsibility to get food for their families, work in agriculture, and these are the women that are impacted by climate change right now. Equally, will be on the front line implementing the solutions to climate change. So if we can better involve women in those decisions, then the outcomes are going to be better represent what is needed and be more sustainable as a result. Other thing I would say, though, is it's not enough in and of itself to have women in positions of leadership. I think there is much more to be done to
Nicholas Spegum
in those positions and challenge some of the barriers that women, even at the highest levels of decision making, still face. Women
find the main goal of the planet and cut the fucking bottom off it. There, problem solved.
But sometimes it feels as if we take one step forward and two steps back. So we need to keep powering on to achieve equity, because we are most definitely overdue for equity.
She doesn't believe anything she says at all.
Equity. That word makes my fucking teeth itch.
So Northern Ireland, talking about more women leaders, Northern Ireland currently holds the world record for having a collapsed parliament because the leaders can't agree on things. It stands at something slightly over 3 years. And the leaders of the two political parties at the time were Arlene Foster, a female, and, oh, fuck, what do you call that? Witch from Sinn Féin.
Jerry Adams.
No, not Jerry Adams, the female one, the current leader of Sinn Féin.
Jerry Adams.
Lily Adams. It's not Mary Lou. Fuck. Michelle O'Neill. And those two women presided over the longest dysfunctional assembly / government in the world. So I'm not quite sure that the facts were right what she was saying.
I just find it baffling that that thin-lipped cabbage head can fucking sit there and talk about like gender equity. We're not even talking about gender equality anymore. It's gender equity, and she's sitting there bobbing routine and the hands that always move all the time. Like, oh, women are so oppressed. Like, shut the fuck up, you know. And if I say any negative about her, I'm a misogynist. And I do. You said there that you don't believe she believes anything she says. Oh, I believe she believes every fucking word of it, because she's a misandrist. She's like, she was quoted, for example, last year in Vogue magazine, just before COP, of saying that she hopes she never has to shake another man's hand again. That's just one of many examples. She was on that talk show, what's it, Loose Women, and she was like the woman there. In fact, I'm going to get that clip back. Wait, bear with me a second, like, because I want people to see this thin lip smile.
Mate, I don't think she thinks I hate men. I think she's been told what to say and she's got a narrative, and I don't think she necessarily hates men. I just think she's got a fucking narrative to follow from certain interest groups.
No, she really does not like men.
Has she got a husband?
Aye, a fucking gay husband. He's blatantly gay. Like, the rumour is, right, and I have to say allegedly here so don't get sued, right? The rumour is that she's bonking, and I can't remember her name.
Fucking hell, be careful.
It's the ex-French ambassador to the UK who's a woman. Partly, I know the marriage is a sham marriage. Like, if you look at Peter Morel, he is the most clear-cut gay boy. Like, it's obvious he's gay. I got no problem with that. You're gay, but it's like, it's a sham marriage.
But she's got people who want her to say this shit, though, hasn't she? There's clearly vested interest who want her to be saying this shit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, global homo.
Yeah.
What did you call that feminist lamp wheel that shot? Oh, fuck. Your guy that did all the screen printings. Can't remember. But there's plenty of women who really don't like men.
Fucking... Oh,
there's plenty of married women that don't like men. It's, that is not an out. There are very many. She honestly does not like men. Also don't think she likes white people.
Well, yeah. I agree with that as well. Right, here we go. I'm going to mute again just so it doesn't echo. But No. Just let me preface here. You'll see what I'm talking about. She's a fucking bootleg.
My mum's a kid.
Generalising here, it's not absolutely true all of the time. But I think women can be a bit more empathetic. They can be more willing to listen.
Or less tribal.
And less, it doesn't always work that way. My political opponents might say that that's not the case all the time. But yeah, I think women do bring a different approach to politics. And if we have more women, and we're seeing more women in politics now, then it might change the overall tone.
Do you think there should be more women, though? Because they're all women shortlists. And to me, I just find that it's discrimination against men. It's the same thing, isn't it?
I think they'll cope. I think the men will probably cope.
But
they've kind of had it good for quite a long time.
It's not their fault that there aren't a lot of women politicians, is it really?
Well, nor is it women's fault. You see, this argument, the argument you're making, which is one that let's do it on merit. Well, if we accept as a starting point that women are as good as men, as intelligent as men, I think we probably agreed that, then why is it that we see fewer women, not just in politics, but in all walks of life? There must be something systemic that is holding women back. So let's level the playing field for women.
I'm fascinated.
Carol McGiffin's fucking based. Yes, Carol.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I would say the fact that whenever women have got a free choice of what occupation they choose to be librarians, they choose to be office workers, they choose to do childcare, they choose to do nursing, they choose to do work where
they don't choose to fucking work with sewage, for example.
Yep. They also tend to choose jobs that have a set start and stopping time, unlike a politician who is basically at work 24/7.
Hey lads, can I give you an analogy? It's a bit controversial. Give you an analogy. Say classic example, like animal species. Say a black widow spider. The classic example. We all know the female is in charge because it's 5 times bigger than the male. Imagine getting black widow spiders and being oh no, the male's in charge now, even though you're fucking 10 times bigger than it. That's what they've done with humans. And a lot of the fucking Islamic world and most of the world, in fact, have been this doesn't work. maybe don't put females in charge of things. I know that's controversial, like, no offense to the ladies, but fucking hell.
I mean, I couldn't slow it down, but just when that woman says to her, "Oh, but it's discrimination against men," I've showed in a video before when I covered this. This was years ago, go back to like 2018, 2019 time or something. See if you slow it down, because you only see her face for about 2 seconds before the camera changes back to the woman that's speaking. The smirk that appears in her face when that woman says it's discrimination against men. The smirk appears, and then she's like, "Oh, well, I think they'll cope," with a head bob, like, like. And then she says, it's not men's fault. And then she goes, "Oh, it's not women's fault." Oh, well, that's a great hot take, Tidlips. Like, nobody said it was women's fault. It's like, you know what I mean? That's ludicrous. The reality of the matter is that for the longest time, men have predominantly gone into politics for whatever reason. Obviously, for the time, women couldn't vote, etc., etc. And quite frankly, given the state of female...
Point of order. Who got the right to vote as a class in Great Britain first? Men, women, or neither?
Women and working class men, did they not all get it at the same time?
Women and men got it at the same time.
Yeah,
in the same act, Representation of People's Act. There's never been a point in time in Great Britain where men have had a right to vote and women have not. Voting rights were given on land ownership, and if women owned land, they had the same voting rights of a man that owned the equivalent amount of land.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
This whole women weren't allowed to vote thing is a myth.
Excuse me.
Like, I've said that before. When I covered some feminist shit that was going on in the Parliament, like, they always focus on it was like, it was a celebration for 100 years of women able to vote, but they never make reference to the fact that fucking men were given the right to vote at the exact same time.
Oh, do you know why men were given the right? Why men were given the right to vote?
That I don't know.
Right. We had the First World War, the largest, most violent conflict known to mankind. And during that war, we made a decision where we would conscript men to fight and die on the battlefield and at best come back missing part of their body or part of their mind. And there was a decision made that if we were going to give the government the right to send men to to fight, then they had to have a say in the government that was going to send them. And whenever they came to that decision, they went to the suffragettes, the likes of the Pankhurst and whatnot, and said, "We're bringing this in this new law, and we're going to be giving men the right to vote, and we're going to include women." And the feminists went, "Fuck that! We want absolutely nothing to do with it."
Yes, I read this recently. You're absolutely correct.
They refused to have anything to do with it until they were guaranteed that women could not be conscripted into medical care, school care, or munitions work, and that would all be of their own free volition.
He's absolutely right. Do you know, in the US, I read it recently, do you know when they were going to bring in women's right to vote, it turned out that they would have had to be drafted for the military and whatnot, and they unanimously voted against it. Absolutely voted against it. No, we don't want this.
Well, they're currently going through a thing because there still is conscription in America, although it's called selective service, and every man, whenever they get to, I think it's 17, have to fill in the forms to be available to be conscripted. And there has been equality cases taken to make that it's women also, especially now that women have got the right and privilege to serve in frontline units. That's not going to work out well for anybody. And whenever the case went through about that, we've now got the first ever campaign to end selective service.
What personally, sorry, what your opinion personally, 42, what would you think about like subscription, like automatic national subscription? What would you think?
I would say keep conscripts the fuck away from our army. Our soldiers don't want it. we have a professional army, and if you start putting, see if you're going to end up in Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever, digging your hole in the ground, and you've got 100,000 hairy arse fucking whatever running at you. I don't want somebody in that trench beside me that doesn't want to be there.
No, completely agree.
If you're going to conscript people, I could conscript people to pick litter, do public service, do whatever, and have a thing where what I would say is everybody, whenever they leave school, should be doing a year living independently with a job that has some form of service, and they get to figure out what way they like their eggs boiled, what they like in life before they start going out and making any decisions. Part of the problem in our society is we make the most important decisions of our life, mainly getting married, before we know fuck all, and let them have this bit of time where they can drink, they can see, they can go out, they can socialize away from their family and the friends that they knew, find something about themselves and bring them back. I think that some form of conscription of public service and that would be good, but not into the army. We need people that want to be there.
Completely agree. What I think though, mate, I think it would be a good thing. Say we get to the ages of 15 and 16 without any kind of going into military, like officially into the military. I think it would be good for our country if around that age we do like a little bit of military training. You know what I mean? Like by 15, 16. I think that'd be a handy thing. Just for like lads who are like enter like year in our country. I know Scotland's got primary whatever. In our country, say enter year 11 and do like a year's worth of just little basic military training, just teaching the lads sort of thing.
Like see every Russian kid, boy and girl, they can take their AK-47 apart and put it back together again in the dark. Yeah. Because they do that as part of their end of school, and before they actually go into their conscription. So I think the Soviets do still have quite a large bit of conscription. What I will say is, having done, I'll be very upfront about this, the bit I was in was the territorial army. It's not the regular army. It's very much different, but it's good for teaching you how to follow orders, to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be, and whatnot, but it doesn't teach you to look after yourself. I think to get people to be a bit more independent, something similar to that, but not as rigid, so they've got to get themselves to where they're supposed to be and not as part of a group of 30 people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right, 2 seconds. Let me go. Excel. Oh, mischievous Excel. Are you trying to make a wee tongue twister? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm not going to call you that, so you better get used to it.
Right. Well, good evening. Good evening, and thank you for letting me come on.
I'm going to call you the father now. You know what I mean? The babe. You're equivalent to a babe. I'm joking. How's it going?
Oh, not bad. I'm not that long in the house, actually. I was out having a walk around Pollock Country Park and caught the stream in time, and I've had my dinner.
You've had your din-dins, eh? Fish fingers and smiley faces, eh?
Aye, me din-dins. I had chicken fried rice.
Oh, what? You having
Chinese food.
Unacceptable.
I know, I couldn't get
Am I the only English person here?
What?
Am I the only English person here? I'm not English, Scouse.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. There he is. It's Clive Chance.
No chance.
If you want to come on, but no, of course, no, you don't do it. You never want to
come on, no chance. No chance loves abusing me.
He never comes off my channel. He's always got a fucking excuse,
No chance called me a third world scumbag the other day.
Who did? Clive?
It's a bit rough.
He said I was from the third world and he was just trying to speak my language.
Oh, fucking Jesus. Clive. I didn't think Clive had it in him.
No, he's a legend. You reacted to him, you mad cunt. You said to him, there's no need for that.
I don't remember. Like, see what I mean? I know he's taking the like. It's like every time he comes on Scott's Armour stream, no bother, but he never ever comes on my channel. It's almost like he doesn't want to be seen to me. He doesn't want to.
Walking his goldfish, he said.
He doesn't want to have his name tarnished, like, you know. Do you know what it is? It's because my sort of masculine dominance, it threatens him, you know, because he thinks he's like the champ with all his kids and that. But like when he's in my presence, albeit it's virtual, my masculinity is just that intensified. That
your Scottish accent's better than his, like, to be fair.
Ah, fucking right. He just sounds like a marble mouth Ouija, like, you know what I mean? You can't
question, please, guys. Bas Klootwijk. No, it's not my dog. It's my friend's dog, pal.
The Belga, like, little German Shepherd, is it?
Yeah, he's a fucking good old boy, man. Walk him every evening at about 11, 12 o'clock. And he's 13 and he turns into a fucking puppy when we're taking him for a walk. It's excellent, man.
That's not a good age for a German Shepherd, like.
Aye, he's a good old boy.
My dogs.
We all love the dogs. That's the thing about fucking British people. We've got to look for animals. Wait till all the foreigners arrive here when people realise that they don't like dogs very much.
That's what I hate about Telegram sometimes when you flip through some of these channels, you know, and you're just scrolling through it and then you just see some fucking. If it's not like I seen one yesterday, it's kind of been horrible to dogs. I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to be seeing that, you know. Puts me all wrong seeing shit like that in truth. But coming on. No, I'm hoping 42 goes there, that because I haven't. That reminds me, there was a reason I played the clip there. 42. This might be up your alleyway, and this is. I've got 7 dogs. Jesus Christ, I can barely handle my one.
I have as well. The Woodlander. I've got 7 staffies.
But this here, right? This is from. This is. I can't believe that Nicola Sturgeon. Wait, I mean, we know this anyways. He flew over in her CO2 emitting plane for a convention that was hosted by the Rockefellers, right? Now they've come out with this publication and they've got recommendations for the United Nations and all the member states of the United Nations to undertake, which of course by extension means the UK. You know, we don't need the United Nations to tell us what to do. Nicola Thin-Lips will do everything she can within her power to make Scotland as feminist as possible, hence why she's already on record saying that we are a feminist nation now. We have got rid of our macho image and we're a feminist nation. That's why Scotland will be the first country within the UK and one of the only countries in the world alongside Sweden to have a feminist foreign policy, which I just don't want to get into it.
After Sweden announced that they were the first feminist government, they quickly became the rape capital of Europe.
This is the irony. I've said this before. This is the irony of the SNP's alleged desire for independence, which obviously is just EU membership. What they're really after, the irony of their whole existence is the only thing that's actually preventing Scotland from becoming fucking Zambia is the UK government. Like immigration is not a devolved matter. Therefore, the SNP can't open the floodgates to whomever they want to. You know, most immigrants go to England. That's a fact. And we get a small proportion of the annual amount of immigrants that come to the UK annually. The vast majority go to England. And if we were an independent, quote-unquote, nation with an open-door policy, then Scotland would be fucked. So I just find it remarkable. Like there's an overhanging irony. The whole of the entirety of the SNP's existence, it's the only thing saving us from their shit is the UK government. In truth, you know. But Clive, I'm not going to ask you again, dickhead. Right? If you want to come on, you can, but you just didn't want to. No, it's fine.
Hey, Dave, just to say, Davey, one of the mods in the chat. Hey, bro, you're saying they booted the lefty government out last week, mate. Look into it. They didn't. The government that's took over are lefties.
I think that might actually be them.
It's all relative. They're just a bit more to the right than the other mod.
It's not too good. Fuck is it? It's a sense of again. Tend to be someone else, like.
Fuck up, you wee dick.
There he is. Don't mistake that voice.
Fucking hell, man. I thought it was.
Fuck off, you wee dick.
Fuck up your gobber.
Oh.
Always the same.
Evening, lads.
How's it going, Clyde?
Not bad. Thought Moody would appreciate that in the chat. So
I thought we sent him again. Fuck's sake. Did you catch the video I played earlier on the Thin Lips? Like, I'm not.
no, mate, I missed it.
I don't know if I want to play it again. Like, but it's leading on to something. It's the recently. Mind a couple of months ago, Thin Lips and Hillary Clinton, all that went over. I think it was to Italy or something for some Rockefeller convention to talk about feminism.
Was it Davos?
Well, they've released their recommendations now, so I'm going to share my screen now, because this is just fucking nonsense. Like, I don't need my audio. Right. Well, here's it here. Oh dear, wonders never cease to amaze me how bad this is getting. But let me show you this first before I go any further. Well, there's fuck off. Look at this shit, man. There's Hillary. There's Sturgeon. There's a beautiful beam. I don't know who half these people are, but it's the Rockefeller Foundation hosted this summit. You know,
not a pretty woman inside.
It's just unbelievable. You know, and they've got some.
Look at that one in the back with the fucking white thing on its head.
It's just a joke, but I'll go for fuck's sake, man. No, I'm not doing that. Like, but anyway, I'll go back up a bit right quickly. So just to give you a bit of the gist of what this shit is. So Hillary Clinton is obviously the main one that did the speaking about. But global leaders call for urgent action on gender equity. Sturgeon, the global leader, apparently. And there's it there again, the Rockefeller Foundation. But I'm just going to go to the recommendations, skip all this waffle. There's quite a few, and we know they'll all be accepted in full. You know, I love this bit here as well. You might have a take on this. Look at this shit, right? I'm not reading all that, but women's political participation and power threatens authoritarian governments who view women's leadership as tilting a zero-sum game of power politics. To reinforce gender hierarchies and thwart democratic progress, concerted efforts are underway to roll back women's rights, including slashing funding for women's programs, contesting sexual and reproductive rights, and reversing commitments to prevent domestic violence. Opposition to gender equity, not equality, equity, and women's rights activism has become more vocal, global, and organised with the emergence of extreme and conservative actors, right-wing populist and nationalist groups, and men's rights groups that are coming together. Right, and then it says down here, you know, women in politics also face an increasingly hostile environment. Target attacks against women leaders, journalists, and human rights defenders are widespread and proliferate through unchecked and unregulated abuse on social media. Men get abused too. Like, do you know, this is what annoys me about all this shit. It's so one-sided and selective in nature. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, like, before I go any further.
It makes me nervous to mention it as a man, because I feel like it's none of my business, but the little fucking contesting reproduction rights, which is just code for I want to kill my kid.
Watch me drive a train through that. Reproductive rights. Could we have equitable reproductive rights? Yes, we could. That would mean that anywhere that a woman has legal ability to have an abortion, within whatever timescale that be, should it be 14 weeks, 24 weeks, whatever, the prospective father of that child would have the legal right to walk away, abort his legal and moral obligations, and therefore not be subjected to 18 years of baby jail, also known as child support payments. We would also need to have every child DNA tested at the time of birth, so that the current situation where 50% of all parents leave the hospital with a child that they do not know is theirs. They've only got the other person's word for it. And that would end the problem of forced fatherhood and the men raising children that are not biologically their own.
Also, agreed.
So there's your starting point. Yes, we would like some equality with reproductive rights. Men would like reproductive rights. As it stands at the minute, if a woman becomes pregnant, she has got the choice of aborting the child, killing it, murdering it, putting it up for adoption with no recourse. She has got the choice of bringing it to term and having the father pay for the upkeep of that child for 18 years. She has all those choices independent of the other prospective parents' wishes. And if we are serious about people having reproductive rights, as it is, the man loses all reproductive rights at the minute where the sperm leaves his body.
The man's got zero reproductive rights.
Even if the woman is to take a turkey baster to a discarded condom and impregnate herself, the man still has no reproductive rights. And he does not get any proof whatsoever that the child's actually his. So, yes, let's have some reproductive rights and let's make them equitable.
What about you, Ian or Clive?
What do you think about abortion, lads? What do you like? It's the big one, isn't it? Like I'll give my opinion personally since I brought it up. I don't want to be too hardcore, mate, but I've looked a lot into it, and I just feel quite morally strong about it. Like if you get raped, someone rapes you, and it's completely non-consensual, and you end up pregnant. I think that fair enough, you should be able to abort that. But otherwise, keep your fucking legs shut, I just think. And I was, before that, that seemed like an extreme position a few months ago to me. But I don't think, once I've looked into how abortions are carried out, it absolutely disgusts me. If you look into how abortions are done, anyone who's a moral person could not possibly support that, man. Sorry, I
hate the way it's thrown around like contraception. My niece got pregnant pretty young. She was 16, and my brother immediately threw out the abortion thing. Ended up that I had to go get the girl. I came back from Holland, went and picked the fucking kid up and took her to see my mum. And, break the news to my mum and stuff like that. She was my mum's fucking favourite, granddaughter. But the way it's just thrown around like contraception and, the right to fucking, when does, this clump of cells become, it's just so fucked up, man. So fucked up.
That's why they
Let's
use things like clump of cells and parasites. They always need to use this language so that they can convince themselves that they're doing the right thing and it's not a human being. But that's all trickery to make themselves feel better.
Exactly.
I have a problem with abortion being linked to rape, because what that means is you're going to have, if a woman becomes pregnant and she's sitting in the doctor's office and she's saying, I don't want this child. And the doctor's saying, well, I could abort it if it was rape. Were you raped? And then you get more false rape accusations. And the time scale that there is between impregnation and abortion is not long enough for a proper investigation, a proper and fair court case. And you'd also have juries sitting there going, well, this woman's sitting here and she's in tears and she doesn't want to have this baby. And if we just say that was a rape, then that can be aborted. But in the meantime, that man's threw totally under the bus. So I think that's quite dangerous. Davies just said there, Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was taken to court as a rape case, and Roe, who was the woman that wanted the abortion because she'd been raped, a very long time later admitted that it wasn't a rape and she just got pregnant. I think that's all quite dangerous. Mate, personally, about abortion, I think it should be safe, legal, and rare, but anywhere that it is, the men should have the same amount of time to renounce their responsibility for that child. And I think if that was happening, we would have a lot more sensible laws about the thing.
When I was in the States, my girlfriend was, she was fucking, I lived in Portland, Oregon, and she was a masseuse.
Liberal as fuck.
You can guess where our politics lied and all our friends' politics lied. I'd never been, Planned Parenthood, all of that sort of thing. I'd never experienced that sort of thing before. But it's a whole fucking industry there, man. It's really, really weird. Really, really weird.
Like terminating babies industry.
Yeah. Sorry, like Clive was trying to jump in there. Like, what are you saying?
I was just going to say, to tackle the rape thing is to encourage women to report it, because as part of the whole rape investigation, you get the kind of rape kit that includes the morning after pill. So instead of putting this myth out there that there's this rape culture and nobody's going to ever believe you, actually encourage them to go and report it, because again, that leads to people not reporting it. Then down the line, they might end up reporting it, and at that point, they can't tell if the woman was raped or not, because you need to do it pretty much the day of or the day after or that, and they can tell that there's been an assault. But as time goes on, there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, there's a lot of rape cases that are actually cases of regret.
Yeah, big time.
There's a lot of women wake up in the morning and go, "What the fuck did I do?"
Mate, there's literally, I'm sure you've all experienced this. There's ex-girlfriends who have said, that fucking sort of made a hint of that they didn't quite like what had gone on. But it was like, no, you just regretted what happened, you little fucking slag.
We had sex that night and I didn't really want it, so rape.
Yeah, I've had plenty of them.
Oh, well, while we're on the rape subject, do you know that force to penetrate is not classed as rape?
Oh, it's only I don't want to be too grotesque, but it's
only there are not. The reason why the rape figures are disproportionately female, which only happens if you discount American jails, by the way. What happens in war zones is because if a man reports that he has been made to forced to penetrate, that does not go down as a rape statistic.
But I did not know that. I just want to get through a wee bit more of this because I don't like sharing my screen.
Just 2 seconds, DJ. I was just going to say, do you remember that Aziz Ansari, the comedian?
Yes,
he had a Me Too moment, and then it turned out that the woman had gave him like 4 blowjobs that night, and then she decided, nah, actually, I didn't enjoy myself. And then that's his Me Too moment. Okay, so now that is sexual assault. But just on one more thing that you pointed out, DJ, about the abuse online, is they've looked into this at one point, and it turns out that the abuse is coming from other women. It's not men on women abusing women on the internet. It's women abusing women on the internet.
And on top of that, a few years ago, I mentioned this in my video that I made today on this, and I've made other videos on it as well. And that guy, that 42, the glass blind spot, he's made videos including it as well. Actually, a study was done a few years ago. This was when Jeremy Corbyn was in charge of the Labour Party, and that it transpired that the politicians in the UK that were actually receiving the most abuse, courtesy of their sort of study that they conducted, was conservative men, like conservative politicians who were all white. But the difference being, of course, that when a conservative, or just a guy in general, 9 times out of 10, they don't assume that the abuse that they're receiving is directed their way because they're a man. But when it happens to a woman, they assume instantaneously that the abuse is directed to them because they're a woman. But they always ignore that shit, But But speaking of Me Too, it's actually mentioned here as well, Me Too movement. But this is some of the recommendations, courtesy of the Rockefeller Foundation and Nickel Thinlips.
Rockefeller.
Right. So the first set of recommendations is fostering conditions for women political leaders to succeed. There's a need for establishing support networks for women political leaders and heads of state through high-level training programs and mentorship. Women leaders should use their platforms to elevate other women leaders' successes and call out attacks. Let's see what else we got here. Diverse women's movements, including women of colour and Indigenous women, should work to coordinate their messaging. Governments and private actors should mobilise support and financial resources for women-led actions and online social media campaigns such as the Me Too movement and activists under arrest. Support should be paired with resources such as rapid responses for activists and human rights defence. Such a gay term, man. Situations of violence or abuse. We've got a couple more here. I'll just read the text in bold and all the rest of it. Policymakers should ensure international standards and legal frameworks address all forms of violence against women, not violence against men, no, because that doesn't happen. The United Nations should create a new code of conduct on women's rights and online abuse to hold powerful actors like social media and big tech companies to account. Governments should implement and enforce existing gender equity reforms at global and national levels. Government and multilaterals should strengthen monitoring and reporting mechanisms as well as training for law enforcement to address rollbacks of women's rights and threats against civil society. It's just fucking a joke, man. Okay. There is more though. Unless she's got anything to add to that. Look at this. That's like fucking. What is that like?
Lads, just anecdotal. I work for not to go into detail. I work for a private healthcare company. So we do operations. Women and men are treated completely differently. Completely. Say you've got a man who's having an operation, he won't get treated with the same kind of empathy that a woman will at all.
Well, here's how far that goes, Toffee. See if a man accompanies a woman to accident and emergency. At some stage, the man will be asked to leave the cubicle or whatever. Yep. So that they can ask the woman, was there a physical assault? Yep. Having been in A&E with my ex-wife many times, that never happens with men.
Mate, I've turned up. My girlfriend injured herself on a night out. She went flying and split her head open. We turned up at the hospital. All of the staff treated me like I was a fucking animal and separated us. And we're like trying to convince her that I'd done it to her. And she was like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Weird shit, man. Weird shit." What's the word? Misandry.
Yeah, that. There's a massive difference in the disparity. But what this looks like, about 6 years ago, there was the Istanbul Convention on violence against women and girls, and this looks very like the United Nations is wanting to redo that and bring out another one. The Violence Against Women and Girls Act gets renewed every 4 to 5 years, and they add more bits onto it. The other interesting thing is that in Great Britain, male victims of domestic abuse are counted under the Violence Against Women and Girls Act.
Fucking hell. And when you look at the misogyny bill, I mean, I've covered it, so's Clive. I think you've covered it, haven't you? The misogyny bill that they're planning on bringing in, where they redefined misogyny, and they even go into detail as to why they're not including misandry. I mean, they redefined it. The misogyny used to be like you've seen women as a collective. You've seen them with contempt. You felt contempt towards them, words to that effect. But they've now redefined it to imply it's like about power dynamics, etc. Which obviously gets.
And one of them was you can't undermine a woman in public.
Yeah.
So basically, some retarded female politician makes some ridiculous policy up. You can't criticise that. Or
I bet you're saying other people are allowed to undermine women in public, though, within their own culture, isn't it?
Just Scotland, man. I
mean, they also, like, in that bill, they used the kind of misleading stats that was used at the Sarah Everard thing, but it was like 98% of women have been sexually harassed in their lifetime, and then it's like, has anyone looked at you? have you ever felt uncomfortable? You're like, all right, okay. Everyone in their life has felt uncomfortable and been stared at, or feel like they've been stared at. And maybe they're not. Maybe they're staring at like something, like some bird, like having a gangbang, whatever.
The other question. The other
Someone
question
looked on the
is,
mole on my temple a few weeks ago, and I felt so fucking self-conscious.
Years ago, I told the CEO of the company that I worked for, I would cut her fucking hands off if she took any of mine again. How do you think that would go down in this climate now?
Yeah, that's misogyny 101, like.
Yep. The other thing is, see, whenever they're doing these surveys, they tend to go to the likes of Women's Aid and get their respondents from there. After they have spent a couple of years teaching these women how to respond to documents in such a way that Women's Aid will get more resources. So the pull for it's tainted even before they actually ask the questions, which are convoluted and twisted. And the other thing that they have a tendency of doing is doing the survey, asking the questions, and then interpreting the answers whenever the answers don't come back with what they want.
Yeah, without a doubt. I just wanted to say this as well. What's your opinion on this section, right? It is well established that climate change disproportionately affects women, girls, and marginalized communities. Right, so that's effectively excluding it's white men, because every other group, but not only gender norms.
She didn't give any examples. She just fucking throws statements out there. Right?
Total shit.
Disproportionately affects them. How?
Exactly.
What, the socks get fucking wet?
Gender norms perpetuate women's unequal access to social material resources, land ownership, and decision-making power, leaving women vulnerable to climate impacts with fewer tools at their disposal for adaptation. In fragile and conflict-affected areas where climate change exacerbates food and water scarcity, women face adverse health effects and increased risk of gender-based violence. Environmental...
They're talking about the Islamic country.
Which speech is going to get fired by Harry, you know what I mean?
Aye, so what we're saying is, like, if it's a wee bit toasty outside, toastier than usual, guys are just going to start leathering their misses. It's your fucking fault.
Name your fucking sandwich, bitch.
If you go into the Scottish Government's website and you look at how they define gender-based violence, it's another example of total it's not what it says in the tin. Because this is defined as, again, power dynamics. Gender-based violence, it's not just a case of a man battering his wife or whatever. It's like, it's outdated stereotypes, it's misogynistic views, I'm not joking, by the way.
No, I believe this.
Is that all? I take it that's all coming from the Duluth model?
Probably, I don't know.
Does it have like a wheel somewhere on it with the load of it sounds quite like the Duluth model. The Duluth model was the power and control wheel for all this gender stereotypes. It was a
sorry. I'm just sorry to interject. I'll let you finish. But look at this shit. The cross-cutting exclusion of women hinders their contribution to an inclusive climate transition.
Climate society.
What the fuck? Sorry, carry on, Gadzi.
I can sum this whole thing up in like one sentence. World ending, women and girls most affected.
It's all the fucking same.
Sexism affects the temperature.
International Women's Day, right, in the Scottish Parliament, and like every single dickhead took to the podium to pray for the women and the girls of Ukraine, despite the fact, according to the narrative, they're allowed to leave the country, but men and boys are not. Not one of them.
What American politician was it Hillary Clinton? Did she not say something like retarded, like the women suffer most from war because the guys die?
The Hillary Clinton quote is, "Women are the primary victims of war. They lose their fathers, sons, and husbands."
Oh, fucking hell.
Talking from someone whose husband's a fucking rapist as well.
Yep. Oh, did you ever see the clip of
thing about the fucking girl who she defended? Oh, the rapist who she defended. You've heard that?
Oh no, it's not that. That Labour politician from Birmingham. Her name's left me, but Philip Davies was putting forward a motion for. She was putting forward. Jess Phillips, that's a very bitch. Philip Davies was putting forward a motion for a debate on male suicide for International Men's Day. Jeff Phillips had a good laugh about it.
Laughed at it. She literally laughed at it.
I remember that. That's what started the Sargon saga.
DJ Miles backstage.
Oh shit! Right. I'm gonna go through a bit more of this after that. Like, but
is my volume all right? Oh, then I turn the gain up a bit.
Hey lads, do you realise? Listen, do you realise this whole thing is going to appear on Hope Not Hate as the ultimate incel thing?
Fuck them! I'm not an incel. I've got fucking.
Me and no chance have literally got kids, but they're just gonna clip that thing about us talking about fucking abortions and shit.
Is he back? Are you back, you know?
Aye, man.
No. Right, Soundo. Right, I'm going to go through a bit. Wait, wrong one. Backward to go. Before I get through this, so I can stop changing my screen. Just a few more recommendations, like. So we've got for climate, for the inclusive climate. There's an echo coming from someone, by the way.
Might be me.
Tut, tut, tut. Governments, businesses and foundations and civil society should establish a climate financing regime that increases access to capital for women's organisations working in climate adoption and resilience, including sustainable models and energy. Private actors through creative communication campaigns should mobilise stakeholders to hold business accountable for environmental, social and governance commitments. Climate government should include multi-level and cross-sectoral partnerships, with initiatives being led by cities, provinces and civil society, which can complement national government efforts and accelerate clean energy outcomes, accelerate being the operative word given the so-called crisis within. Climate action and women's movement should join forces to create a more intensive, organised and broader constituency demanding action on climate change. Fucking just gay shit. Like. The climate movement should also broaden its stakeholders, another questionable term, to include the health sector in order to demonstrate the broad and serious consequences of non-existent man-made climate change. Government should build private sector commitments into nationally determined contributions, which offer a roadmap for businesses looking for profitable investments in climate-smart infrastructure. We've also got... Policymakers should integrate climate-related security risks into women, peace and security national action plans and gender into national action plans. The UNFCCC, in partnership with governments and civil society, should prioritise the collection of sex disaggregated data and higher quality data. And then we've got policymakers should engage women in the decision, delivery and assessment of inclusive climate. It's so fucking gay. Government should ensure gender parity in all levels of climate change decision making. I don't know if there's any more. There might. What?
Jobs for the girls.
Oh, for the whammons. The whammons of color. Oh, it just goes on. Let me see if there's anything worth reading out here.
This is the absolute state of the feminist movement these days. It's like, wow, we can't kill a baby. Sex work is real work. I should be able to shove dildos in my ass for a $5. Menopause and climate change are like, fuck off.
Look at that, though.
It's a fucking lizard convention.
Look at that bulge. Look at it. Oh, fucking hell.
Just have to mute me mic there.
Hoity-toity, like. Private chat, what's happening in here? All right. Oh, sorry.
Fucking
hell. But so that's next for Scotland and probably the rest of the world too with feminist tactics, you know. I don't know. I just find it remarkable.
It seems like Agenda 2030 has met the women's movement and they're trying to join forces.
Well, Agenda 2030, let me show you this quickly, right? I'll just get up the goals quickly because It brings me back to a point that Toffee said earlier on, and he might see. I have pondered on this before, albeit I do believe that Sturgeon's a misogynist little bit, but I do believe that there's an argument to be made potentially that maybe she's not the feminist she claims to be, because everything that she does really is based on the Sustainable Development Goals, which would explain the feminist shit potentially. So let me show you this quickly. One last. I really love sharing my screen. I mean, do you know that? I love it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, but DJ, there's something you're crediting Thin Lips with the idea to put forward a well thought out strategic plan.
Oh no! Don't get it twisted. I am under no illusion that she's coming up with this shit herself. My point is, I can't determine, because I'm not her. I don't speak to her, on the phone at night to know what she really believes. Is my point. But this is what I'm saying. Look. Gender equality, that's Sustainable Development Goal 5. That's why there's such an emphasis on feminism. So
look at that. Look at that shot. That's weird.
Yeah, but the question is, are they promoting feminism in Scotland? Like, they've obviously got useful idiots / puppets into these positions, but the question is, do these useful idiots actually believe the shit they're saying? I don't know that. I can't say for certain. Personally, I believe Sturgeon hates men, right?
I'm not even sure they understand the shit they're promoting.
Oh well, that's why.
You can. It's like Sheldon of The Big Bang Theory. I'm pretty sure that he knew all the words that he was saying, but he didn't know what they meant.
Oh, yeah.
You could read a script about nuclear physics without knowing what it means. I think they've got a script and they read it and they don't really understand the implications or even the definitions of some of the words that they use.
I tell you what, I'm dying to sing
the people I've heard talk about nuclear physics don't know what the fuck they're talking about anyway.
I haven't heard
from dying to sing a classic song from the Middle East.
Wait,
is all I'll say.
Sorry, I realise that there's obviously 5 additional people on the panel here, so I'm going to have to do a bit of moderating here, like I'm Ethan Ralph. XL Viking, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, you must, poor cunt, you've been sat there in silence for ages. Give you an opportunity to say anything if you've got anything to add to the fantastic feministic hot takes that we've just been I've just provided for you. Oh, are you showing your booby again on Amigo? Like,
he was giving us a wave on the camera earlier. I think he's maybe fell asleep. His bum. But on 42's point though about people just reading a script and not really understanding what they're saying, like same applies to the people receiving the message. I can't remember the name for it, but it's where you overuse jargon and like scientific language to just confuse people, and then it convinces them. So I can't remember who came away with the phrase, but it's if you can't convince them, confuse them. And that's what they do with all this shit.
Just talking
to you.
Yeah. Would that phrase be baffled by bullshit?
That's the non-scientific term, but yeah, it means the same.
Bamboozle, aye. As your man in the comment section said there. There's the big phrase.
It was Bob Marley, wasn't it?
What?
You can fool some people sometimes. Blah 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 blah. That one.
You can fool some of the people all the time, but not all the people some of the time, but that's all the people. What?
You can smoke some weed and smoke some weed and be Jamaican and smoke some weed.
It worked.
Right, let me see what else I've got for tonight before I end this stream. See what's what. XL Viking, if you're there, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was having some trouble with my microphone.
Wait, what the fuck is this? I just got latest SNP crackdown sees nurseries told to stop kids wearing princess costumes. Okay. Right, anyway. Resisting the lies. Let's see what I've got. I don't know yet. I'll see. But, if you've got anything to add to the feministic talking points, then feel free.
Lads, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Resisting the Lies is the first YouTube stream I've been on just because I'm such a big fan of yours and we've made such good friends on Telegram. Made up to be on the stream. Glad to speak to you, all the lads. I'm going to duck out.
Right,
Right, lad.
Nice
Take
talking to you,
care.
mate.
Right,
All the best, chum. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
This is only a 20-second clip here, but I think it's worth probably playing because it's kind of in the same subject matter. That I caught this today on Reporting Scotland, so I'll share my screen again. There's two clips, but the first one, I'll get you all your takes on it in a second. Let me see. Right. This one here first.
Scots are being urged to make their voices heard as part of a new strategy to tackle violence against women and girls. Police Scotland has launched an online platform for people to share their stories. Interviewed before the Queen's death, the force said victims must have confidence to come forward.
Part of this, the development of the strategy and is that whole engagement part where we want to hear people's voices and give victims and survivors a voice. And I'm anticipating there'll be critical feedback that we need that because that's how we learn and that's how we improve.
So, again, as I quoted it here, as the woman said, Scots have been urged to make their voices heard as part of a new strategy to tackle violence against women and girls. Again, my question is, what about men and boys? So why is it always women? I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, irrespective of who's the victim, but why is it always women? Boys and men are abused too. They are the victims of domestic violence too. But they're never mentioned.
It's women trying to justify the positions of power they now hold that they shouldn't be in. They've been handed a position, so they need to constantly victimise themselves and pretend they are being held down by men in some way to justify where they are. It's bullshit.
Right. All domestic violence in United Kingdom, Great Britain, Northern Ireland comes under the Violence Against Women and Girls Act. Now, there's no Violence Against Men and Boys Act. Therefore, all the strategies are put towards protecting and supporting women and girls. It could be, and has been argued, that they're trying to solve half the problem. Whenever the actual stats are around about half of all victims of domestic abuse are male. I can pull up studies about that and all sorts of things. And different forms of domestic abuse, men are more commonly a victim, but it's absolute madness. How recent is this? And wouldn't it be really funny if they got a lot of replies from male victims?
But men can't be victims, mate. Keep up, come on.
Oh, they can. They can. And I happen to know quite a few people in Scotland
that is misogynist bullshit you're spewing at the moment, son. I'll not let you away with it. No, but I remember I was speaking to a boy that's doing he's doing some work in the new prison that's getting built, the new women's prison, and they're not allowed to call it a prison. They're not allowed to call the people prisoners. They've got en suites, they've got a garden room, they've got a yoga room, and then they used, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but it was something ridiculous where they were saying, well, it's about 95% of women in here are here because they've retaliated against some form of abuse. And I'm like, that just rings alarm bells straight away. That ridiculous percentage, 95% are there because evil men have put them there and they've defended themselves. You're like, that is just an excuse. It's horseshit. But these prisoners are would you call people that are you're staying at a hotel? They're no guests.
Guests.
No guests. It's residents. Residents. It's what you would say.
Right.
They're residents, and I can't remember all the terminology off the top of my head, but it was basically pretending these women aren't criminals.
No chance. When you say there a new women's prison being built, that is not in Glasgow North, next to the police station. Would you know?
No, it was further up.
Right, because there's one quite close to me, which is, it's not really a prison as such, it's a custody unit for women nearing the end of their prison sentence at Corntonvale. I thought that was the same place we were
Right.
talking about.
No, well, this one looks like see the kind of new council houses that they're building just now that look pretty decent. It didn't look like a prison. It was like it was showing me photos, and it just looked like a housing scheme. And they have like phones.
I'm going to read into that.
Oh, it was mad.
Yeah, I just wanted to address. I forgot to mention that actually, but Toffee brought it up before I play the next clip. I was going to say at the start of the stream, I totally forgot. My uncle died today in New Zealand. The last of my granddad's brothers. My granddad's died as well. But we planned to go and see him before this COVID shit started. But obviously, no one was allowed into the country in New Zealand. And it was only recently announced that they're dropping all the restrictions. But I passed away today. So thank you for the one in the chats. Like, it's kind of shit. He always said he wanted to come back. He wanted to come back to Scotland for one last visit because obviously he's a chuchter. But he went to the Navy when he was about 18 years old and then decided to settle in New Zealand, and he's spawned quite a few kids. So I've got family over there and that. The funeral's on Tuesday, live streamed or whatever, so I'm going to have to stay up and watch that. But that's pretty shite. But I appreciate that, Toffee, one in the chat. Thank you. But yeah, don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but this is also quite depressing, and thank you, Ian, I did hear what you said there. But this is number of children suffering from malnutrition in Scotland is increasing.
Campaigners are warning that the number of children being treated for malnutrition in Scotland's hospitals may rise as food prices increase. Figures obtained by the Herald newspaper show that almost 4,000 children were admitted to an acute site for malnutrition in NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde over the past 4 years.
COVID brought a rush of problems for children and young people. We saw extra obesity, we saw more eating disorders as a result of lockdown. Supermarkets need to help us with this cost of living crisis by bringing down the price of a basket of healthy food.
Now, I'm going to get the article that goes into a bit more detail about this, and this will probably be the last thing for tonight. I don't know if any of you have heard about this shit.
No.
I'm going to get it up.
But being a single guy with no kids, it kind of goes past me.
No.
I just think it's fucked up that this is happening in Scotland. I'll share the screen again one last time. Here we go.
I've got to say that when I was in benefits limbo, my choice of fucking food was very, very limited.
Yeah, I've been there as well, Gudgy. But hundreds of Scots children diagnosed with malnutrition. Glasgow, where a third of children are estimated to be living in poverty, has seen the highest rates over the past 4 years. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde said there have been 3,895 admissions of children under the age of 18 to an acute site for malnutrition from 2018 to 2022. With the figures soaring in 2021, the year after the pandemic, quote unquote, almost doubling from 572 to 1,000. The health board said individual patients may account for more than one hospital admission. Malnutrition obviously goes into detail about what that is, but it says NHS Lothian said all children admitted to hospital are screened for signs of malnutrition, and a score of 2 or more indicates significant nutritional risk. According to health board figures, 928 children were red flagged for dietary support. NHS Tayside said 186 referrals have been made to dietitians for Faltering Grove, Dundee, Perth and Kinross over the past 3 years or 3.5 years. The figures, which were obtained via Freedom of Information. And then it goes on a bit more, but the point is that this woman here, who's Lindsay Crawford, who spent more than 20 years working as a GP in Paulus Park, one of Glasgow's poorest areas, said the true figures were likely to be far higher. Quoting here, malnutrition could be caused by not having enough to eat, not eating enough of the right things, or being unable to absorb the food that you do eat because of your underlying medical conditions. The figures point to hospital admissions only, which may just be more extreme tip of the iceberg. So yeah, malnutrition, one of the many ramifications of a quote-unquote pandemic, aka the restrictions. I love how they blame the pandemic, not the restrictions.
So turkey Twizzlers and fucking generic Red Bull is not a balanced diet.
Don't think so. Don't think so. Somehow, like. But I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, like.
Yeah, I'd love turkey Twizzlers. We used to get crispy pancakes. They're fucking rotten now.
Crispy pancakes.
From Findus.
Aye, man. They had that special coating on the outside that made them crispy. Oh.
Yeah, and then you cut it open, and then you're trying to find the spot of whatever it is to put inside it.
Aye.
Oh, it's rotten.
Like Dutch cracots, unidentified fried objects.
I used to be terrified to tell my mum that whatever she made was decent, because if we told her it was decent, that's all we would get for about 3 weeks. You're like, fuck.
Oh, mum would do it for 6 months.
Right. Sorry. There's one last thing, actually, and then I'll just let the chat continue till we end it. But look at this shit. I don't know if you've seen this as well. I want to share this on Steam. Where's my Telegram? Look at this. Right. So this is very recent. So excited to reveal the launch date of our new Learning for Sustainability resource, 27th of September 2022, during Scottish Climate Week. Details will be on our new Twitter account, which launches on the same day. And it goes, look at this shit, and I know it's a bit blurry, but that's nothing to do with me. It's just the image that's been uploaded. But this is the sort of stuff that kids in Scotland are learning about now. And I talk about it all the time. But like learning for sustainability, you got the proverbial global citizenship, social justice. Oh, children's rights, which is a major red herring, as we all know, etc. But there's more. Like this one, right? It says, a lot of learning's going on in Glasgow. Come and see the chat and learn. P5 to S4. And what are these P5s to S4s going to be learning about? Oh, promoting anti-racism together in education. So things such as celebrating our learning, diverse texts, and decolonizing the curriculum. This shit's got to fucking stop. Like, it's getting out of hand. I'm sorry, like, because these people have got free reign to do as they please. This is what annoys me. As you made reference to at the start of the stream, 42, you said that what happened to just like bog standard, arithmetic and English, etc. Like, I don't know what the crack is in other parts of the UK, but the way that Scotland operates in an educational front, as I've said before, is that provided that you meet the requirements that have been placed for you to reach, you can do what the fuck you want. So you can go into graphic, grotesque detail if we're talking about the LGBT, or you can talk about the bare minimum. Teachers in this country have free reign to do as they please, and it's all under the guise of, it's like a devolved authority. They're independent, the same way that the SNP wash their hands and deflect blame by saying, it's no our fault that councils are planning and making you pay permit, pay to park outside your job. No, that's the council doing that. It's the same principle. My point is they have free reign to do this shit, and the government greenlight it by not saying anything. This shit has got to fucking stop. It's got to stop.
Well, we used to joke, didn't we, that schools were indoctrination camps and basically they were just there to produce little drones that would go out and work and fucking contribute to, this capitalist society that we've got, where now it's becoming blatantly obvious that it is a fucking indoctrination camp and they do want your kids. And they do want to program them, and they do want to fucking manipulate them into being what they want them to fucking be.
You just need the transfer test back, because although we still have woke shit going into our schools, it's nowhere near as pernicious, but we still have a transfer test. So the primary schools are judged on the results that they produce at the end of P7, whereas in Scotland, England and Wales, there's no actual results at the end of P7. Everybody's exactly the same. So they don't need to put any effort whatsoever into academia, which gives them more time for all this bullshit.
What if you end up in the first year spastics class?
Well, yeah, but at least the primary school's got to make some form of an effort.
Oh, fucking definitely.
You know, there's kids every year in Northern Ireland, obviously, pass that test, fail that test, don't take that test. But the primary school has got a vested interest in making sure that at least some of their pupils pass that test, because if they don't, then the kids will go to the primary school down the road. Whereas in the rest of the UK, there's no pressure on academia in primary school at all. And then all the blame for people having poor educational outcomes is then placed on the secondary schools. But the secondary school are getting stuff that they can't work with because they're trying to teach them stuff that they should have learned in P3.
It was my mum that I had to produce the results for, not the teachers. You know, if I took a report card home and it was fucking bad, I would, the shit would hit the fan. So, I mean, it was more the driving factor in my education and my upbringing more than the school.
Yeah, but the report card now doesn't have an academic achievement box. Everything's subjective. You know, fuck whether or not the kid can read and count. It's all about how they behave.
Yeah. I'm just going to get one last thing up before I end this, because it brings me back to something Ian said near the start of the stream when he was on about how the fuck do you decolonise geography.
I was going to mention on PBC's point in the chat when they said his son could even ask questions in class. Groupthink is encouraged and kids are not allowed to differ. This is something I try to drill into my older boy, is that if you're getting told something and you think it isn't right and you question that thing, if you get into trouble, you're not getting taught, you're getting told. That's what you need to realise. So if there is something that doesn't smell quite right, your instincts kick in and you ask a question, innocent question, just or whatever, and you get shouted at, you're not getting taught anything. You're getting moulded into believing certain things.
I dread to think what I would be like at school now, because I was one of the under the bonnet guys where it would be a case of, you know, learn this proof or learn this formula. Why? Where does it come from? What does it do? How do I apply it? Fucking the teachers like that. What?
Yeah, right. Actually, that's just reminded me. I know we're hitting the 2 hour mark, but I was going to cover this, but obviously the stream last Sunday never took place. But I don't know if any of you've seen the new and improved anti-racism debate that took place in Scottish Parliament last week. It must be 2 weeks ago now. But I clipped a few short clips. I put the full things on my channel, but I wanted you to see this. For anybody that's not seen them in the chat, right, this will be the first one. Let me show you this quickly. Wait. You did say he, and I did say she was a female. So you're being a misogynist, Clive. Right.
Right. Sorry.
Right. Here, wait. Listen to this shit. Right.
I didn't want to.
Now let's be clear. Racism.
Why you eat that? I'm fucking playing a video, eh?
Shut up, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, shut up.
Now let's be clear. Racism exists everywhere in society. But what makes an organisation institutionally racist is not that it has racism. It's whether its priorities tackling it and being actively anti-racist in its policies, procedures and cultures, or remains passive, content with a never-ending cycle of deny, defend, deflect, on repeat. Even if we never truly understand the experiences of others, it is important to strive to be an ally. Paul Reddish, who is here today, OBE, talks of allyship as standing up for those when they are not in the room and handing the microphone back when they are present. And I am minded, presiding officer, of the words of Nelson Mandela. Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. And in allyship, we must strive to share the pitches, the tracks, the boardrooms as equals.
What do you make of that?
But listen to that. we are equals, but we want special treatment. So fucking shut your face. It's just mental, and the whole anti-racist thing. It's a bit. Let's see the drag queen story ever, like changing the name to like anti-pedophile parties or like child protection fucking gatherings. Like it's horseshit. It's the opposite of what they're claiming, and I hate this woman so much. She's been in politics for years. She could never get voted in until the recent handouts. Like, I done a big video on this, which I thought was heavily underrated, but I went through each candidate and how these people are getting handed easy seats so that they can get into power. Then they have the cheek to complain about equality and being treated the same. Mate, you were handed your position because of the colour of your skin.
Aye. I mean, remember that campaign? What one was it? It was the 2020 election where like Rosa Sally, Fatima Joji,
aye,
and all that. They were all like they were fast forwarded or fast tracked to the top of their respective shortlists, being on the shortlists, and none of them got
that's
in.
what I'm talking about. Aye, she managed to get in the second time round, but
the only reason Kebab Stewart got in was because she fucking she was put in a winnable seat, as they call them, but it was a seat where there was an SNP candidate standing down. That's the only reason she fucking got it.
But they done the same with women when their 50-50 goal was on the cards, which it still is, along with the minority representation. But when that came in, it was like we'll put all the women in the seats we're guaranteed to win. And then they have the cheek to talk about the glass ceiling. We need to smash the glass ceiling. You're like, no, you've got men lifting that ceiling up very carefully and then lifting you out and then placing you down like a little delicate object, then putting the glass back down, making sure nobody's getting hurt, and you're there. You're like, then it goes smashing the glass ceiling. You're like, fuck off.
I can't stand it. I can't stand any of them. This is
they just all, they all just say the same self-serving bullshit and just to denigrate white people. I just wish they'd all fuck off. Literally, fuck off. Sorry about that. I just got annoyed every time I see her. I get annoyed.
Well, you're going to get annoyed again here.
Hollywood seems like a fucking waste of space, time, and energy.
Well, you know how much I'll say this much. Like, I mean, I should be getting paid for the fucking work that I do in terms of sitting through their shit. Do you know how soul destroying it is? I'm sure I've lost brain cells here, and maybe a couple of chromosomes and all. Like,
DJ, you should be first minister instead. I think you'd make a great candidate.
PG, I thought you had extra chromosomes.
Oh, I don't know, that's for sure.
You
don't even get that.
There's no extra fingers.
I know, you're trying to imply I'm a downy. I know what it means, dickhead.
Correct.
Dickhead.
No, my video's no playing because of you.
I'd like to extend my thanks to
Shut up!
the changing the plan for sport for conducting the review and producing the report, and running out racism for their hard work in condemning institutional racism within sport, and for taking active steps to reform the way sporting bodies conduct themselves. Along with the member Kebab Stewart, I am one of the first women of colour to become a member of the Scottish Parliament, as well as being the first Indian Sikh in the Scottish Parliament. It has taken a long time for ethnic minorities to gain a voice, but we have one now. It's strange. We hear talk of fair and an inclusive Scotland, but this report reveals that as one of yet, it's merely an empty phrase and a tick box exercise, which I hope will be an eye-opening for many. It is essential that BAME individuals feel valued, feel a sense of belonging, and a sense of confidence that this club has in their interest and will condemn and take action. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, I hope that we do not wait another lifetime before we see transformational take place. Firstly, boards must be diverse. Only when the boards are representative with BAME people have a voice in the operational processes. Secondly,
The Scottish Parliament must take more responsibility for the development and implementation of anti-racist infrastructure. And finally, presiding officer, we must incentivise sporting bodies to reassess their operations both structurally and culturally.
And bear in mind, this woman is a conservative. She's part of the Scottish Conservatives.
Hate the plummy bitches, boy.
Just what she said there, though.
What did she mean about the issue in sport? What was she talking about? Sport? I don't.
Oh, the race in cricket. Like, well, the allegations made by Pakistanis, I almost said it, that racism exists and is a prevalent occurrence in cricket. The only proof that they had, wait for it, please. Oh, that's right. The boardrooms were white. Aye, that's the proof.
Oh, the boardrooms are white. I thought they were talking about like boohoo, someone threw a banana at a millionaire once.
No. I'm going to get up Matt now for Ian, and that will be the last thing I'm sharing tonight, just because this is quite funny. But if you've got anything to add to that, then on you go.
I was wanting you to pause multiple times, to be honest, but I'll let Exiled Viking go.
You should say it, did.
I was just going to ask, is there any way to cut out the reverberation effect? It's driving my head crazy.
What do you mean by that?
DJ doesn't understand how to share audio along with a window. So
I think it's a shifter thing.
He's playing it through like a speaker that's going into his mic, and then it's
I'm muting, mate. I'm muting for this
Through
one.
two yogurt cartons and a bit of string.
That's probably what it is, just because I'm not muting. Right, this will be the last thing I'll play. Right, okay. Maps are discriminatory. This comes directly from the Building Racial Literacy team. Okay, this is for you, Ian. You wanted to know at the start of the stream how to decolonize geography. Well, let the Bane Man tell you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the Bane Man joining the stream now?
I hope so. He's got important news for me, apparently.
And what does that tell us about the value systems then? And then can you name the social issue and the value system at work and whose interests are served? So I'm sure I've got maybe like 1 or 2 minutes left. I'll go through a very quick example. So I love maths, mainly because yes, in some classrooms, so in social studies or in geography, you use them as part of the curriculum, but maps are also incredibly everyday texts. There isn't a school that I've been to that doesn't have a map or a range of maps of some sort. But revealing that they're constructed is a really helpful critical activity in unpacking, well, hold on, these taken for granted texts that the one that we see before us, the Mercator projection, appears in school atlases and textbooks as giant wall posters, and are sometimes, even if they're not used specifically, just take up space in a lot of schools. But unpacking the Mercator projection helps us understand, well, some choices have been made by cartographers, by map designers. So when you move from a 3D object into a 2D object, you have to make certain choices about what parts of that image get distorted and what remains accurate. The Mercator projection maintains relative shape, but distorts relative size. So when we look at this, this is not a true reflection of the size of each of the continents, although their shape is accurate. You change those decisions. So the Wall-Peter projection then came out.
What's his complaint here? That maps are racist because we mess
because
with
they're made up.
So, how you can talk, you can unmute to talk. It's not playing.
You know what? I think they think it's racist because it was drawn by whiteys, not by coloured people. That's my take on it.
They discovered the islands and actually done something with information, so that's why it's racist.
Right.
Britain's in the middle, it's racist.
I don't get the argument that we've reduced the scale, so
we've squidged the shapes. It's racist.
I know what's wrong. They would rather have the flat Earth version of the map.
I thought that's what we were looking at.
No, the flat Earth version is the one that the United Nations use.
Yeah, there's a slight curvature here, you can tell, with the top.
No, you know the one the UN use with, there's like 2 globes? That's the flat Earth one.
Shape, and instead maintain relative size, then actually a whole new set of relationships emerge, right? So suddenly the issues faced by the African continent seem much larger here in the global perspective, right? So looking at these 2 maps, already there are certain perhaps stereotypes about travel, about population sizes, about resources and where they come from, about cultures and diversity that are being maintained or problematically maintained because we have a particular view of the world. Other maps try to displace this, but create new relations of power, right? So in the previous 2, we have a north-south divide. The UN logo, for example, tries to disrupt this, but in many ways sets up a new kind of center margins relationship between the global north and the global south. And so although a redesign and its intentions are quite positive, there are certain limitations to that.
Because
orthograph projection.
Is this not just like the anti-racist progressive version of, like, see the people that look at certain magazines and go, the number 17 is here, and then we see it here, and they're just looking into things far too much in like some retarded anti-racist autistic manner. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand the argument there.
I don't know either. It's just
the maps are showing stereotypes.
Racist. Don't you get it?
Line is white supremacy. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, they just dissect absolutely everything. I mean, it's mentally deranged and it's mentally retarded, in my opinion. I mean, no normal person goes around dissecting absolutely everything, looking for an answer to everything. Jeez, oh.
Well, has anybody told them that maps belong on a wall?
A what?
Maps belong on a wall.
No,
DJ's got that. And an MAP belongs on a wall.
Right, boys, I'm going to wrap it up now because we're going over the 2-hour mark. I could go for longer, but I realise it's Sunday night, so I'll just go down the fucking panel. If you've got a hint to show, then feel free. If no, then fuck off. 42. I'll come to you first.
If you've liked what I've said tonight, you'll probably like what I say most Saturday nights between 11:30 and fuck knows when PM. I'll put a comment in the thing and that'll take you to my channel and you can come along, follow me, subscribe, and
I'll put
that's
your channel in the description. It's fine.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks. And DJ, it's been great having you on, and all the other guys, and Toffee, who has left. Really great chat and good fun. Really enjoyed it. And thanks very much.
Good. I mean, it's probably about time, if it's definitely still going ahead, that we should probably announce sort of thing that we're doing at the end of the month, no?
Yes, yes, we can announce that now. Next week, I'm going to have Resisting the Lies and Sansom Communion on. We're going to make it a last Saturday of the month stream. And Englishman, Scotchman, and Ulsterman walked into the stream. And it's going to be brilliant crack.
Aye, I agree. Even though Sansom's a dick. Excellent fighting. Anything to plug or say?
Yeah, just thanks for letting me come on. I know I didn't contribute very much.
I'm quite sorry for you, to be honest. You said fuck off.
Don't worry. I enjoy listening to all you guys and your banter. But I'm still new to all this stuff, so I'm learning, so I'm taking notes as well. But once again, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Badge, I've got you. I'll call you Clive, you're last because you're a prick. Ian Marr, anything to say, Gudgy? Appreciate you coming on, like. First time on my channel. You're welcome anytime, but anything to add, anything to say? All right, and in fact, let me ask you: do you feel that you've had your question answered about how we decolonise geography?
Oh, certainly.
You sound
I'll sleep well tonight.
You'll be dreaming in the van Govinda. Oh, fucking hell.
Mercator Connection just fucking sealed the deal for me.
I can't wait till they decolonise sat-navs and we're getting navigated by turn left on the next road.
Oh, Mr. Crick. Oh, my God, no. Oh, it's so tempting to get him on. It's, you know, that anti-racism debate that I was talking about. Mr. Curriculum came on. Oh, no, not right now. Wait. Before we go, this is a special prize for everybody that's still watching, that's no left. I have to get him on.
Anyway, when you're searching for that, thanks for having me on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. I feel wanted. Thank you very much. You made my Sunday night.
Oh, happy to have a Scot on. That question. I think more Scottish people, in all honesty, should be, maybe not, I hate the word content, but I do feel that, like, there should be more Scots, like, fucking making their voices heard, so to speak, you know, because I think in doing so, the more Scots that speak out, because there's a lot of English content creator, I hate that word, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of them, and there's a Scottish, very sporadic, and I think that if the more Scots that speak out, in some capacity, whether that's on Odyssey, even a Telegram channel or YouTube, etc., I think that goes a long way, and potentially, anyway, it's my theory, helping to encourage other Scots to speak out, you know?
Yeah.
You're more than welcome on, but is this it here? Yeah, oh, here it is. Wait, let me get Mr. Curriculum on. But Clive, if you've got anything to add, plug, then you can, but I will be playing our favourite. You know who I'm talking about. Like,
I'll just take your offer up to just fuck off. I've got nothing to add. But cheers for the chat, lads. It was nice talking to you. I don't think I spoke to Ian before. I think I've spoke to 42 and Exiled Viking and banned up Toffee in the chat. But no, it's been good. Cheers.
But don't fuck off yet, though. Let's listen to a bit of Mr. Curriculum. Okay.
Curriculum.
Mr. White.
Institutionally racist and long list of actions to be taken. In 1999, the McPherson report noted that institutional racism is the collective failure of an organization to provide an appropriate and professional service to people because of their color, culture, or ethnic origin. Since then, positive moves towards equality have been taken, and uphold the work of campaigns such as Show Racism the Red Card and Kick It Out, which encourages the end of racism within sports. 23 years after the 1999 McPherson report. However, racism is still present across society. Recently, we have seen stark inequality laid bare in the Scottish Government's Equality Impact Assessment into its Race Recruitment and Retention Action Plan. Now, institutional racism in sports, most recently within the Cricket Scotland, has been brought to light. Institutions that receive government funding must be held to account and must promote anti-racist equality practice. Institutions that are both must not be given awards while failing to uphold standards of fairness, equality, and accountability for those served. It is unacceptable that Cricket Scotland was winning diversity awards while 448 cases.
That's a good one.
The curriculum.
The curriculum. Curriculum.
Any like? Oh.
Could I just add one thing, gentlemen? He's right about racism in sports. Look at the Indian and Pakistani youth down in Leicestershire. They're all fighting over some cricket game, I believe. So there's definitely a racial element going on. He's right about that.
Racism permeates across society, yet this is a guy who moved to the UK as a fucking immigrant, and now he's a member of our parliament. Can't be that racist there.
Yes, he's talking about the curriculum. He loves that word. He loves the curriculum.
You see that Conservative bird stand up and talk about being the first Sikh BAME in Parliament, and you just get some Pakistani fucking lamping her like, fuck you.
Oh, kidding. I'll play us out with this, then I'm going to end this scene because it's funny as fuck. Where is it? Where is he gone? And I will end it after this, but you just put it in my head.
I will say, but there's a load of things that's turned into memes off the Sunday chat. I think some talented individuals should create like a kind of intro where it's got all the kind of best bits. Do you know what I mean? Like the Curry Callum and all that.
That's what I'm just about to put up.
You like your Curry Callum.
Let's end on a high note, like.